Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. First of all, I want to apologize for the late start. We just had a few technical difficulties, which we have now resolved, and we're ready to begin our press conference. I'm Jennifer Hyland, Chief Communications Officer for Upturn Funds Caribbean and the Pleion Group. It is an absolute pleasure to welcome each of you to the press conference of Upturn Funds Caribbean and Pleion Group, the driving force behind this transformative ferry initiative. Today is more than an introduction. It's a celebration of collaboration and the exciting prospects that lie ahead in the realm of maritime transportation. Collectively, we are marking the inception of a company that embodies the spirit of connectivity, accessibility, and progress. Your presence here underscores the significance of this occasion, and we are thrilled to mark this exciting journey with you. We are honored to have our distinguished partners, key stakeholders joining us today, as well as key prospective stakeholders in maritime trade and logistics, both from the public and the private sector. We look forward to building on our budding and fruitful relationship. We also welcome members of the Barbados media with us here today and the regional media joining us online. We are truly appreciative of your coverage this morning and thank you for being a part of this historic moment. We will have opening remarks from each of the partners of the consortium, beginning with His Excellency Ambassador Dr. Andre Thomas, Chairman and CEO of Upturn Funds Caribbean, and Chairman and founder of Pleion Group, Inc., who will officially speak to you on the joint venture, the new company, and provide insights into the vision, objectives, and anticipated outcomes of this private sector-led ferry service. Also speaking are Mr. Raphael DeAngelis. He's the chairman of Upturn Funds New York, our advisory partner. Mr. Torstenston of Windward Ferries Limited, our ferry partner, who will be joining us via Zoom from Trinidad and Tobago. Ms. Judine Canterbury of JS Cruise and Tours, our travel partner. Mr. Brendan Mohammed, representative of Ramps Logistics of Trinidad and Tobago. With no further ado, I want to hand over these proceedings to His Excellency Ambassador Dr. Andre Thomas. After that, I will return to speak to the media so you can have an opportunity to ask your questions and we will provide those answers for you. Thank you very much. Over to you, Ambassador Thomas.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. And I want to welcome everyone to this very important launch of the Connect Caribe Consortium. We have embarked on a very important journey to bring the aspirations of maritime transportation from concept to a reality. And when we began this journey about 18 months ago, we proceeded to read every single study that had been done on maritime transportation. We felt, as we read, that if there ever was a project that would affect the lives of men and women across the Caribbean, it would be such a project. And as we studied, we discovered something very significant, that more than 3 studies highlighted the fact that if you could connect the Caribbean together for people to move, light goods to move, and agriculture to move over a 5-year period, you would affect GDP by above 5%. That was very significant. And so when we looked at that, it became absolutely important that we made this project happen. Now, as we looked at the efforts that others had made, including Windward Ferries, to make this project happen, we actually realized that the key was going to be finding the success equation. What's the equation that will make this project happen and make this project bankable and make this project profitable and add value to the men and women of the Caribbean, add value to investors, add value to shareholders. And it became very clear to us that what we had to do was create a consortium that will be made up of key players in different sectors of the maritime industry, and also to bring in an e-commerce element to it. So this is what we've done. So we have partnered with Windward Ferries, who is a consortium partner. We've partnered with Rams Logistics. We have partnered with J&S Cruises and Tours and the Maritime Institute. We have partnered with HCIS Consulting, with Anthony Hinkson, to really create this consortium company. So our company is Pleion Group Inc. Our trading name will be Connect Caribe, and we have 4 different sectors that we're going to be focusing on. So the first would be the ferry service. Now, the ferry service, we have Tory from Windward Ferries, and in the last 50 years, he really ran the only truly inter-island ferry service and has the most experience in this particular field, and he understands the Caribbean, and he ran a profitable service until his boat needed to be renewed. And so he becomes the leader of our ferry division, and he's the president of our ferry division, and you'll be hearing from him. And then in the area of cargo, because we also need to move cargo, we are very excited about the partnership with Rams Logistics. They are the largest logistics company in the region, with over 1,000 staff, with extensive experience at moving goods across the region. And they are the cargo division partner, and Brandon Mohammed is the president of that division from Rams. And then we look at travel, the actual travel element in terms of creating a great customer experience, moving people across the region. And we have Judine Canterbury, who is the CEO of J&S Cruises and Tours, and also heads the Maritime Institute, the only major maritime institute in the region that trains staff for Carnival. So there's tremendous experience here, and she would be in charge of that particular division, and she's the president of that division. And then we've added an e-commerce component, because when you look at the destinations and the countries that we'll be going to in the first phase of the project, the population in those countries amount to about 4 million people. And so there's a 4 million people market. And so we decided to bring in an e-commerce partner, and Anthony Hinkson had created a fabulous e-commerce product. He had received a grant from Caribbean Export to create an Amazon-type e-commerce platform, actually for the region, that would move goods from one country to another. But that cannot happen without logistics. And so we have brought that company and his expertise into the consortium, and he heads the e-commerce division. And then there is a 5th division, which is the agriculture division, because we spend about $8 billion in the region that leaves the region. And the prices within the region are affected by the fact that the actual benefits that can be accrued from moving, say, product from, say, Dominica, from, say, Guyana, and from Suriname to the rest of the region, that the transportation networks are really not there. And if you look at the Eastern Caribbean, you look at the hotels that have to purchase so much vegetables, so much product. Now, that product could be grown in another country and moved. Now, we have experience in working in the agricultural field. One of our partner companies about 2 years ago trained about 2,500 farmers across the region in smart farming with Israeli technology and Israeli expertise. So this is an area that we have experience in. We have been working extensively in the field of agriculture. We know the farmers. We have a list of over 2,500 farmers from across the region. They're part of a group, and so we understand that they want to grow to meet needs within the Caribbean, and so this would be an ideal solution for this and help to meet the CARICOM goals. Now, we have done all of this in a synergistic approach with CARICOM. Okay. Now, we are aware that leaders of CARICOM have for many years cast a vision for a maritime transportation corridor. And this project, which is a private sector-led project, is being done in a spirit of collaboration with what's been done within CARICOM. Okay, so we've had extensive meetings. We'll be having more meetings with them. We've had meetings with the government of Barbados. We've had meetings with governmental leaders in the various countries that are working on a ferry project between Guyana, Barbados, and Trinidad. Okay, and so we are working in a spirit of collaboration with that, because that particular route, in terms of moving passengers, is not a route that we have chosen to do. Okay, so the routes that we're looking at are completely different. The only in terms of cargo, we will be moving cargo, just cargo, and heavy cargo, light cargo, and agricultural in those particular routes, including Suriname and St. Lucia. So they're two completely different projects, but they've been done. We're working in a spirit of collaboration because we need many players in order to provide the type of maritime corridor that the region needs. Okay, so that gives you a actual background into this. So we'll now have Brandon Mohammed from Rams Logistics, who will now share. Yeah.
Here, Lindy. Right. Morning again to the media present, to the panel. Thank you all for preparing, for assisting in putting this together, and for your attendance. So as Dr. Thomas mentioned, people is probably the most important part of this project, of almost any project. It was very important that he get the right people on board, sitting by this table today with the right vision to pull this together. Otherwise, it would not have been possible. The same goes for the media that's present here today. If we didn't get the right persons in the room, we wouldn't get the right media coverage that we need. And people is a core foundation of RAMS. So today, I'll just give you a brief history of how RAMS started, what we do in the region, what our vision is for how we can contribute to this new ferry service, and how we think our contribution can tie in wonderfully with the e-commerce division, with the transport and tourist division, and with Dr. Thomas' vision to really connect the people within the region. So as stated previously, I am Brendan Mohammed. At Rams, I am the manager of all new logistics and technology projects, which fit beautifully into this new ferry service. So we at Rams represent the logistics arm of this business. So we hope to bring a sort of third-party and fourth-party logistics scope to this region so we can unlock all accessible transport mechanisms to connect not only large, medium, and small businesses, but even the individual persons that want to either move between the islands themselves or want to move goods that they produce and procure themselves. From a one-man custom brokerage company operating out of a family home in 1985 to providing logistics that support majority of the oil and gas companies in the region, Rams has experienced exponential growth, grounded by our investments in our people, our processes, and our technology. Our CEO, Mr. Sean Rampasad, has not only instilled a culture of Caribbean pride and ownership in all our employees, but he has also delicately molded the organization to adopt a solution-oriented mindset that we try to apply on a day-to-day basis, that we applied with this ferry service. Though many things have changed over the past 38 years for us, one thing has not: our commitment to our people. In 1985, with only 10 employees, our CU ensured that every Friday, in-house lunch was provided to all employees and staff. Today, sitting at 1,000+ employees across 8 locations, believe it or not, the same tradition stands for one very important reason: the people at the organization. Those are our people, that is our family, and that is one of the main driving factors for why I am sitting here today and Rams is involved in this initiative. We feel an innate responsibility to be part of the solution to a better Caribbean and contribute to an improved quality of life for all of our people, our families in the region. Our experience providing services to customers throughout the region has given us an intimate knowledge of all the intricacies that exist when importing, when exporting, and when attempting to move cargo within the region. We have supported multiple cross-border oil and gas projects between Trinidad, Guyana, Suriname, using smaller vessels to also supply the smaller islands. We have moved items as large as oil rigs to cargo as small as injection needles for pharmaceuticals during the COVID period. In addition to the cargo side of the business, during COVID, we have also brought in multiple personnel through the appropriate governmental channels to ensure that the economy stayed afloat during that dark COVID-19 period. We are no stranger to the business. We have had our foot in this pond for a very long time, and we believe it is the start of a new era or a new stage to step into a new area to connect the Caribbean. The experience that we have accumulated and the teams that has built this experience, we believe are where we could contribute most significantly to this ferry service. The do's, the don'ts, what is needed, what works, what doesn't work. We believe the new ferry service is uniquely positioned to allow affordable access to those far and wide, but we need to note that a typical logistics framework is not all that is needed. The infrastructure is very important. The ferry service itself is very important. The team is very important. But we must also note that the quality of the logistics framework that exists in the region is also very important. And this is where we see a lot of synergies with CARICOM and with the governmental agencies to allow for the smooth transition of goods on the customs side, on the clearance side, on the regulatory agency side of things. To facilitate the trade of basic agricultural and mining commodities, but also to move beyond this realm and compete on a global scale, we must provide short transit times, well-managed cold storage trains, reliable delivery schedule, and most importantly, security for the people of the region. We believe that our third-party logistics expertise in international transportation management, warehousing, and distribution would bring the most value to our partners sitting here today. So to close, we believe that with the right persons, in the right seats, on the right ferry, which I believe we can source very easily, we can unlock the full potential of the plethora of resources and opportunities that are waiting to be tapped within our region. If we better connect our own people to our own goods and our own commodities, we can then further integrate into a global supply chain to gain more access to services and goods to build a better quality of life for all of us in the Caribbean. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Brandon. And we'll now hear from JNS Cruises with Judine Scanterbury.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today with you, my team, as well as the media. My name is Judine Scanterbury. I'm the CEO of JS Cruises and Tours. I'm also known to be the owner of Trinity Recruitment Services, as well as the Maritime Institute of Barbados. Today, I am excited to share information on this project, which we've been working extensively on from last year. And as a team, we came together and we were able to provide the necessary information that we need in order to make this project a success. This new ferry service is poised to bring a multitude of benefits to each island in the region. Not only will it provide reliable and efficient transportation for both locals and tourists, but it will also stimulate economic growth, promote tourism, and enhance connectivity between the islands. I believe that this service has the potential to truly transform the way our people travel throughout the region, and I'm passionate to be a part of this project. My career, just giving you a little bit insight on myself, my career started out in travel at the age of 18. From there, I moved on into the recruitment aspect where I provide staffing also for Carnival Cruise Lines. That's one of our partners. We also provide staffing for hotels and airlines, etc. over the years. From being a partner with Carnival Cruise Lines, we saw the need of having persons to be trained to work in the maritime industry. So that's not something that was familiar too much from Barbados, but having our seafarers trained and being knowledgeable of what they're actually getting into prior to joining vessels is one of the reasons why I took the initiative to start the Maritime Institute of Barbados. So persons joining vessels now have the opportunity to go on board with the relevant information that they need prior to joining these vessels. So I take great pride in this project and also using my expertise not only in travel, but in recruitment and also in maritime training to make it a success. As my role in this project, which has been allotted to me, is going to be very crucial. Whereas I'm overseeing the operation aspect of the project, so maintain efficiency and also reliable transportation links between the islands, that is going to be my responsibility. I will also be ensuring the safety of passengers and their comfort and implementing strategic plans in order to assist with the growth and the overall aspect of the services that we are going to be providing. So I'm delighted to be a part of this project, and I do believe that it's going to be a success once we start. And I believe that it's going to bring a difference to our Caribbean people. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Judine. Thank you. And we're now going to hear from Anthony Hinkson, who is president of the e-commerce division.
Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here. At Connect Caribe, our goal is the economic empowerment of the citizens of our region. I'm Anthony Hinkson. I have over 25 years of expertise in the technology sector. And one of the things that defined me very early was that I was able to gain a Barbados exhibition to study in the US. And as a team of Caribbean students, 10 of us were able to create a voice-activated remote control software system in the mid-90s with a budget of $500 US, with students from Trinidad, Curacao, Barbados, and other territories. We were able to come first in our senior design project. And the only thing that stopped us from being the Alexa of the day was a lack of vision and a lack of finances and a marketplace with which to sell our product. From CARICOM's website, the CARICOM single market and economy is intended to benefit the people of our region by providing more and better opportunities to produce and sell our goods and services and to attract investments. It will create one large market among the participating member states. There are two main challenges to this. One, product awareness. Do we know what we are selling in our other territories? It is not that the things we shop for online are intrinsically better than what is in our countries, but it's a matter that we do not know what is available. Second, and is spoken to by Ramps Logistic, product transport. Even when we are aware of goods that are produced in other territories, the cost of transporting those goods from one territory to another can at times be either prohibitive in cost or prohibitive in terms of time by which we can get those goods in country. Connect Caribe is addressing these problems through the combination of our e-commerce platform, Connect eShops, with the timely and cost-effective cargo transport capacity of our inter-island ferries. We are going to be the e-commerce marketplace for the Caribbean region. Our goal is to facilitate economic transformation within our region by creating this marketplace, which will allow our users to build e-commerce businesses via local, regional, and extra-regional sales. With our ferry service scheduling, products sent to neighboring islands can have potentially same-day delivery or up to 3 to 5 business days, which is something not possible with the current infrastructure with companies that are out there. Furthermore, products produced in CARICOM are exempt from import tariffs, which is more cost effective for our customers and keeps our foreign exchange within our region. Global e-commerce in 2024 is expected to be $3.6 trillion US. According to a report by Statista, the e-commerce marketplace in the Caribbean is expected to reach $4.8 billion in 2024. We in the Caribbean cannot afford this drain in our local economies. We must bring these monies home. The information age has seen e-commerce become a force multiplier for small and medium enterprises and micro businesses. We all know the names of companies such as Amazon, Alibaba, eBay, and we have heard about many success stories that these platforms have been for these small businesses. We have over 6 million people in the English-speaking Caribbean. And so as our transport network is built up, we expect to expose, for example, an entrepreneur in Barbados whose market may be 270,000 to now having a market of 6 million people. We are here to support CARICOM's vision of a single market across our region. Within our region, we have many, many wonderful business people, young people, entrepreneurs, and we want to have them be the best that they can be. Within our region, we have the next upcoming Michael Kors, Tommy Hilfigers, Bill Gates. We have these people in our region. We want to see their success. The Connect Caribbean eShops will facilitate trade via our transport services. It's a major step in seeing the global dominance of our upcoming regional brands. Thank you for your time.
Outstanding. Yeah. Okay, very good. So this gives you a glimpse of exactly the success equation that we found. It was very clear to us that we could not just focus on just moving people. We had to create an infrastructure that would aid small business development, that would aid the movement of agricultural produce, that would move people as well, that would move light cargo. We needed to create a economic development infrastructure using the maritime corridor. And that's what we've succeeded in doing, and in bringing the partners to really execute this, who are already operators in this field. And by coming together, we can synergistically multiply our impact on the marketplace and create an economic empowerment zone within the region, which has always been the dream and vision of CARICOM. And so we're here to help make the CSME vision happen on a higher level. That's why we're here. Okay, so we're now going to go back to Zoom, and hopefully we'll fix those problems, and we can hear from Tori first, and then from our Vice Chairman, Raphael Diandris, who has been a major force behind this project. So let's go to Tori from Zoom. Okay, and listen. Okay.
Yes, good day all. Hope the audio is okay now. I am Captain Tore Torsteinsson, CEO of Windward Ferries Limited. Windward Ferries has partnered with Connect Caribe, whose vision is the same as ours: connect the Eastern Caribbean by sea. Bridge the gap, so to speak. I managed the Windward lines during 8 years in the 90s. This was a passenger and cargo vessel connecting St. Lucia, Barbados, St. Vincent, Trinidad, and Venezuela. Every week, the ferry service was well received by travelers and shippers of cargo. We achieved an average of 25,000 passengers per year and was fully loaded, heading north and south. Cargo was manufactured goods and agriculture produce. The route facilitated the traders, the exporters, and the regional travelers, particularly those who did not wish to travel by air or were looking for a less costly passage. The years of being captain and owner of cargo ships in routes from Miami through the islands to Guyana and Suriname, plus the experience of managing a ferry in the Southern Caribbean, has prepared me well to manage the vessels that will operate under the flag of Connect Caribe. As each island is a sovereign state, the regulations call for international trade certificates, which I'm very much familiar with. Our vision is to provide the Eastern Caribbean region with reliable ferry services. A passenger and cargo roll-on, roll-off ferry connecting St. Lucia, Barbados, St. Vincent, Trinidad, and Grenada, returning through the same ports, making a full round trip every week. This ferry will have capacity for 800 passengers and 70 20-foot containers, roll-on, roll-off. To supplement this, a high-speed catamaran running Trinidad, Grenada, St. Vincent, St. Lucia one day, St. Lucia, Barbados, and back to St. Lucia the next day. The following day, St. Lucia, Dominica, Antigua, returning through the islands to Trinidad, all in 1 week. The capacity of the fast ferry will be 400 passengers and 60 tons of cargo. These two ferries will complement each other. Travelers can travel with one ferry and return with the other, thereby making various travel possibilities through the English-speaking Eastern Caribbean. In addition, a cargo vessel will be added to run Trinidad, Guyana, Suriname, Barbados, St. Lucia, Trinidad every week. This vessel will carry 147 20-foot containers, as well as agriculture, chilled and frozen cargo on pallets. The 3 ships will serve the region well, as traders, travelers, and cargo will find this to be a fast and efficient way to get around. And shippers of cargo will appreciate the frequent and quick transit time. These vessels will be manned by regional certified crew as much as possible. An important aspect of this is that this project opens up for training regional seafarers on their way to be certified. In case of emergencies in the region, earthquakes, hurricanes, these vessels can be standby to assist with evacuations or bringing supplies. There is no doubt that this long-awaited ferry service will bring increased economic activity to the region and the region's people. We will finally, in the Caribbean, feel that we belong to the CARICOM, a goal envisaged by 50 years ago by the founders. Thank you.
Thank you, Tori. Thank you. You bring so much value to the team because of your experience and this is a very important step forward. So let me just go over exactly what he said. We're looking initially at starting with 3 vessels. One will have a capacity of around about 800 passengers. It will have about 200 first-class cabins where people can lie down, sleep with bathrooms and everything. So it's going to be a great customer experience. It will have restaurants on board. It will be very similar to a cruise experience. And then we'll have a fast ferry that will complement that. And then we'll have a cargo ship, dedicated cargo ship that would move between Trinidad, Guyana, Barbados, and St. Lucia. And so that's going to be the focus. And so that's what we're going to start with. We also going to include St. Kitts in the route, and as we move forward. And then we'll then expand. So this is phase 1. And then we'll expand. The reason why we've chosen this before is because the reason why we chose this is these are routes that Tori is familiar with. These are routes that he's operated in. So this is not a new venture. We decided to go with what's already known, what's understood, okay, and then we'll expand from there. And so that's the actual focus that we have decided. Now we're now going to hear from the vice chairman of Pleion Group Inc. and this Connect Caribbean venture, Raphael DeAngelis, who's also the chairman and CEO of Upturn Funds New York, and is my partner. And this project would not have been possible without his vision, his financial insight, and his help at really developing this project. So let's hear from Mr. Raphael DeAngelis.
Good morning, everyone. I'm really proud of the work that me and Dr. Thomas started talking 18 months ago. to see that we found power within the local economy to develop such an initiative that is fundamental for the development of the whole region. You know, I fell in love with this project for one major reason: $8 billion in food import into the Caribbean. At our firm, we pride ourselves to only do projects that we can show that can have major economic impact to the people. We have done many projects in housing areas, and this one happens to be of essence. If you transfer only $4 billion of this $8 billion the Caribbean people pay every time they go to the groceries to buy their food, we bring that money back into creating local farming because the transportation infrastructure will allow it to happen. The food cost will drop. The people in the Caribbean will have a food stability that they never seen it before. So, and $4 billion at least of that $8 billion will be invested back into the economies. When we looked at those numbers, it's more than hotels and tourism can give in the region. This is why it is fundamental that the region really put their weight behind this and make it everything possible that we can actually bring food stability to the region, by the region, not import for mostly developed countries where that dollar is going away every time we're buying that carrot. You know, we looked in our research in one country, they import $5 million worth of carrots a year. Imagine if they start producing $5 million investment inside the country. This is where really I felt this project would, it's a national priority for every country to be part of this. And under the leadership of the team that we have and the fantastic team, the work that they have done through the years, we are very confident on the feasibility of this project and the capability of this project to revolutionize the region economically. Thank you.
Okay, well, you have heard from all the different partners, and you get a sense of what has been created, why we are absolutely confident that this strategic economic development approach to creating a maritime infrastructure for the region will work. And it will be a win-win actually for the region, because we are intentionally, strategically partnering with income flows that are within the region, that are already existing in the region. There is an existing income flow of about $4 billion in e-commerce in the region. That's already here. There is an existing, not hoping, existing income flow going out of $8 billion in agriculture. It's already here. And what we did is we created a structure with a team that would leverage that and tap into that for the benefit of the Caribbean people. And obviously we do that, the ferry service will be a profitable venture. But it will more than be a profitable venture, it will profit the Caribbean. And so that is the approach that we have taken. And I hand over to Jennifer Highland, and we'll be happy to take questions, and she will lead this particular segment. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ambassador Thomas. Thank you, all JV partners of Connect Caribbean, for your contribution. At this time, we want to open the floor for questions to our local media present here, as well as those joining us online. For the purpose of efficiency, we would want to be able for you to ask one question and a follow-up question, and then we would also accommodate those online as well. If you would state your name, the media house, and also when you are asking your questions online, please ensure that you use the facility for your name so that we know your name, your country, and the media house to which you are attached. And we know, go ahead, and we have a question here from
Paul Vilmanzi from Nation News. I'll just ask the two questions I have in one go. having heard the construct of the project, and as I said, this seems quite familiar to others I've heard before. It brings me to one important question. What's the time frame that this project would be actually off the ground and up and running? And what type of costing are we looking at in terms of putting this project together?
Okay, thank you so much. That's a great question. Now, in terms of the timing, we are actually in our first round of financing. We're in advanced discussions with the financial entities that will be successful. Once those discussions are concluded, we will be able to announce the timing. We have a projected timing, but we will be able to announce that. Now, there are various variables that I would actually mention. I mean, number one, you need to purchase the ships. Number two, you need to refit them. Number three, you need to move them to the Caribbean. Number four, we need to make sure that our work with CARICOM, with the Caribbean private sector organization led by Dr. Antoine, in terms of working together to make sure that the regulatory framework is ideal actually for this. Those things need to be in place. But our intention, all things being equal, so this is my statement, our intention, with all things being equal, is that the service will begin by the end of this year. That's our intention. And we believe that is realistic in terms of all the timelines that we're looking for. And as soon as we're in a place where we have enough control over the variables, we will announce when the projected date of the service will start. And so that's what we're looking at, yes. Now, in terms of your second question, now this type of project, because we're bringing together five different divisions. It's not just the movement of a ferry. It's e-commerce sector. It's cargo. Now, we are actually fortunate that because we have a team that's already operated in the business and already has infrastructure within the business, our costs have been lowered because of that. Because everyone here is an operator. No one here is doing a startup in the particular division that they're leading. They're an operator in there, they have experience in that, and also have structures. For example, Rams Logistics has extensive structures across the region in the area of cargo. Anton Hinkson has, software infrastructure. So there's already infrastructure there. So that has an impact on our costings. But you're looking at, so giving a sense that a project like this, over the term of the project to really implement it, you're looking at a project that would exceed $50 million US. I'll give the exact figure, but it would exceed that. Okay, in terms of implementing that. And yes, so that gives you a ballpark figure. Okay, good.
Thank you. Any other questions from the floor?
Good morning, Rianne Phillips from CBC. Approximately how many jobs will be created through this venture?
Okay, that's a great question. Now, for phase one, about 270 jobs. So 270 jobs will be created, and they'll be created in many different areas. So there are jobs, obviously, that will be created on the ferry service itself. And so those jobs, the jobs that will be created within the headquarters, that's the second level of jobs. There are also jobs that are going to be created in the cargo division. And then the jobs that are going to be created from the e-commerce division, because the e-commerce division will need to have folks that the goods have to come into the warehouse. They have to be verified. Then they have to move. So there's going to be warehouse jobs created, and then there are going to be jobs created in every single destination that the ferry service goes. There's going to be jobs created in the e-commerce side of the business. There's going to be jobs created in the passenger side of the business. There's going to be jobs created in the cargo side of the business. There's going to be jobs created in the transportation of the goods. Because, example, a woman from say Guyana, I mean, she makes some really nice beauty products from the Amazon, and she ships them to a lady in Trinidad. When it gets to Trinidad, there's also transportation from our warehouse to the actual place where the customer bought. So there's going to be a lot of jobs created. But phase one, we're looking at about 270, and that's going to increase. Okay, thank you.
Hi, good day. Lurian Graham, Starcom Network News. What are the islands? Because you mentioned that you want to work in collaboration with the government project, which is for Guyana, Trinidad, and Barbados. But you said it would not affect because you're going to go concurrently with other islands. What are the other islands specifically?
Okay, yes. So I can bring clarity to that. The proposed project announced by the actual governments is a passenger ferry service that has cargo that will go to those three destinations. So we are not going to be doing a passenger service with cargo to those destinations. What we're doing is a cargo service only that does not just light cargo, but heavy cargo. Okay, that's moving, and it will include those countries, but it will also include Suriname and St. Lucia. So in terms of the countries that we're going, I will let Judine from our travel division share with you those nations, because that's her area. You can, yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Some of the areas that we will be venturing into, we have from Barbados, we're going into St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We're going into St. Lucia. We're also going into Dominica. We're also going in, as Tori had mentioned previously in his presentation, we're looking at some of the Eastern islands too as well, like St. Kitts and Antigua. And going into those islands, you have to also bear in mind with regards to employment, each of those islands, we will have strategic setups in those islands, which will create employment as well, apart from Barbados. So you can understand the magnitude of what this project is going to do and how it's going to affect those islands once this operation is up and running. Some of those islands right now, as Dr. Thomas mentioned, they're very familiar too with agriculture. And that's something that is going to assist us in terms of food and connectivity as well. Right now, our export bill is extremely high. And having these islands implemented into these routes is going to save us billions of dollars every single year. And it's important that we see the necessity of this project and be willing to come together too as a people to make it work and for it to be effective and to see the necessity of how it can impact our people's lives. That's going to be very important. As Brandon mentioned, this project is all about the people. Our focus in our meetings is all about the people. And once we, as a team, I know we are going to step out with the intentions of servicing our people. And I do believe that once this project starts, it will be effective for the people of the Caribbean. and of each island that we're looking to venture into.
If I could add something else. Okay, Raphael wants to contribute to that, he said. We also have a website that we have launched today that has a lot of supporting information. Connect Caribe, CONNECT, CARIBE, and you're going to see the route. There's a section there that shows the route. So if you need any clarity, you can go to the site and you find it there. So let's hear from Raphael.
Yes, I want to add that no other project in the region today can create the indirect jobs on e-commerce platform and agribusiness than this level. We are talking about hundreds of thousands of jobs across the spectrum of e-commerce business now being possible. People to start their own business because of our system of flat rate transportation between countries, or our possibility of agribusiness and how many people will hire to be able to grow agriculture goods, because now there is internal demand between countries that a supermarket in one country can buy the production produced in another country. So if you put those numbers in, you're going to see that the impact of employment is never seen in the Caribbean region to this date, but it all comes down to connectivity. That's all comes down to it. That's it.
Yes, Paul Monty here again from Nation News. The cost of regional connectivity has been a concern for many decades. Could you give us an idea? Obviously, you're still working through the logistics, and I don't think you'd have narrowed down the exact costing of commuting persons on your ferries. But do you have a rough estimate as to how your service is going to impact that high cost?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Now this is our intention, and these are the numbers that we're working with, and the actual numbers that we're working with is that a standard fare on our service would cost only $100 plus whatever charges come from that particular government. So for $100, we want you to be able to move from Barbados to Guyana. No, we don't do Barbados to Guyana, I'm sorry. From Barbados to Trinidad, $400, plus whatever charges come, yes. And with that, the numbers are great, okay? And so, yes, so that's what we're pitching for. $100 plus whatever taxes applied by the government, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Ambassador Thomas. We have a question online from News Talk Radio, Guyana 103.1 FM. If the team can pull up Talk Radio Guyana 103.1 FM, they have a question.
Yes, good morning. Dennis Chabral here from News Talk Radio Guyana 103.1 FM. Could you say how many months are you giving this project before you can ascertain whether it will be sustainable enough for you to continue? And secondly, to what extent will your offerings be eventually integrated with the Guyana, Trinidad, Barbados route as far as the movement of passengers is concerned?
Okay. We would want you to repeat the two questions we are hearing, but not quite clearly. So we want to be able to succinctly answer your question. So if you can go again and repeat those two questions for us. Thank you.
The first question is, how many months are you giving yourself to ascertain whether this project will be financially sustainable going into the future? And secondly, could you say to what extent will this project be eventually integrated with the Guyana, Trinidad, Barbados ferry service for passengers?
Okay. Well, we are not examining the feasibility of this project. We already know it's feasible. So we're not doing a feasibility study. The only study we're doing right now is an execution study. So we are focused on executing this project. And that's why we have we actually have practitioners who work within the sector, and so that's what we're actually focusing on. Now, in terms of the months, as I shared with you, we already have a projection. We want it done within the last quarter of this year. But we will make an announcement once all the variables, once we have enough foresight and insight into when we'll meet our timelines, and we will make that public. We'll invite you again, and we will announce when that will be. In terms of integration, absolutely. Well, we are in talks with the governments. So we have spoken to them. In fact, today, when we finish this, we're going to have another conversation with the governments and with regards to the ferry service. So there is a significant discussion on how we can integrate and tackle this huge opportunity and problem. I believe that where there are problems, there are opportunities. And so that's our approach. So there will be significant collaboration in between the service that will be done by the governments and our service, because that's the spirit in which we're working. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Thomas. We have a question from Glenn Burke from SKN News. I believe that is St. Kitts and Nevis. Glenn Burke.
Good morning. I'd like to get an idea of the nature of the talks you've had with St. Kitts and Nevis government. Can you hear me?
Okay, Mr. Burke, could you go again with your question, please?
I'm trying to get an idea of the nature of the talks you have had with the St. Kitts and Nevis government. What level or stage have you reached in those negotiations or discussions?
Okay.
And secondly,
okay, we have not had any direct talks with the St. Kitts government. We've had talks within CARICOM. So we've had talks with the Caribbean private sector organization that has a mandate to implement this. So the Caribbean private sector organization has a mandate to implement this. We've had talks with them, and we'll have ongoing talks with them. And we have had conversations and talks with all three governments at a particular level with regards to the ferry service, and that is Barbados government, the Trinidadian government, and also the Ashigana government. So that's what. So those are the extent of our talks. So we have spoken at CARICOM level, and we've spoken to the individual governments that are part of this planned ferry service. So that's to clarify that. Now, it's our intention that after this press conference, that we will now engage very significantly with the individual governments, because obviously the service is going to go there, and we want to work in tandem and in a synergistic way with them. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
If I may ask my second question, in regards to St. Kitts and Nevis, I was not quite certain as to what phase would this country would be included in your cargo passenger service. And in relation to that, seeing that the service will carry passengers, who will be responsible for establishing the safety protocols that would be required for running such a service?
No? Okay. Now, could you repeat the question one more time?
All right. I'm trying to find out. You will be operating cargo as well as passengers.
Yes.
Now, who will be responsible, since you are transporting passengers in particular? who will be responsible for certifying your ships and establishing safety protocols for passengers on board?
Okay.
And secondly, for St. Kitts and Nevis, what phase would these islands be included in your service?
Okay, good. Okay, so I'll answer the second part and then I'll have Tori would deal with the first. Now, in terms of that, our plan is to integrate, our plans are to integrate St. Kitts in the first phase. So St. Kitts is very close to Antigua. I mean, it actually just makes sense to do it that way. So it's our intention to do that right from the initial service. With regards to your first question, there are standard protocols that, example, when Mr. Tory led Windward Ferries, those standard protocols were actually followed. So we will be working with that, and I mean, Tory, if you can speak to that. And then we'll take the next question.
Yes, we will be classed with classification societies such as Bureau Veritas, Lloyd's, and they will issue the international passenger certificate that is necessary for running a passenger ferry. Without those, there are many certificates that are needed, and without those, we will not be able to run. So it's quite simple. We just have to follow the international procedure and have the correct certificates on board. And that is it.
I will go on over to Robert Emmanuel from the Antigua Observer. Go ahead, sir. Answer the question.
Good morning. Thank you. And wonderful presentation. Just a quick follow-up on my fellow colleague who just came before me. Is Antigua and Barbuda, just to confirm, Antigua and Barbuda is part of the first phase of this project? And if you will, what are some of the outcomes that you guys are looking for before you move on to this next phase? Are there certain timelines or are there certain objectives that you're looking to achieve before you move on to expanding further?
Okay. In terms of the outcomes. Okay, I would have Brenda Mohammed speak to that from the cargo side. I'll have Anton Hingsing speak to that from the e-commerce side in terms of the outcomes that we're looking at before we move to phase 2. Yep.
Hey, thanks for your question. So I think it's important to remember that it's a fairly fluid environment. And then what do I mean by that? So the data we have currently, and we know in the Caribbean, we fall short in terms of good, solid data that you can track and good traceability on a digital platform. But with the available data, the numbers and the projections that exist currently are based on 1, the routes that exist, and 2, the rates that exist. So for example, as part of the scouting for this project, we would have gone to Guyana and engaged some of the local farmers, particularly rice. I'll use in this example. So the rice farmers, they have a very large number of exports that a lot of us probably don't even know about, right? But believe it or not, they are at the point where they are not producing as much as they could because they just don't have the opportunities to either export or sell it locally in Guyana. 1, based on the frequency with which the vessels currently move within the Caribbean and out of the Caribbean, and 2, based on the rates that they currently have available with the existing shipping lines. So if we were to tap into just the rice industry in Guyana, and we present these local farmers with a better rate, with more frequent movements within the region and out of the region, we can see that market alone grow significantly. Now, what does this mean for phase 1 moving into phase 2? It means that we may have to keep the routes fluid in that what we have in mind right now, and the plan may change as the months go by, as the quarters go by, where we see growth in some of the small businesses, because these small businesses may become medium businesses, where we see growth in the type of cargo that is now transported between the islands. Because again, we are working on the data, we are working on what we are accustomed to being moved between these islands. But once the opportunity starts to present itself for new businesses to open, for existing businesses to expand, and for smaller businesses to diversify their products, now we will see volume changes within the region for where we transporting goods. Now, these volume changes may cause us to shift our plan a bit. For example, if we originally planned to move 1 week between Trinidad, Guyana, Barbados with X vessel that contains 100 containers, based on the volume increases, we might either need to add a new vessel to that service or invest in a larger vessel to accommodate more containers on that same. So when I say it is fluid, we need to keep that in mind for the opportunities that will be created along the way. And just to tack on the original question, well, a couple of questions back, in terms of the jobs this will create, the sectors that will be developed. Now, we need to look at both the direct and indirect jobs. Because when you start to expand into the manufacturing sector, you have new opportunities for businesses to open, to package, to seal, to box, in all the different sectors that would be impacted by the services. So in terms of a set target to move from phase 1 to 2, I don't think at this stage we could provide an exact number in terms of any profit generation or the volume of cargo. But I do think when we are at this stage to provide such projections, especially when the business does get up and running, I will be happy to share that with the media.
Brendan stole most of my thunder. In technology, data is king. So because we are going to be using technology platforms, we will be able to produce our own statistics and then be able to inform our projections with accurate data versus just what models may suggest. So I think that as Brendan said, we're looking to create new businesses. We're looking to facilitate the creation and the expansion of new businesses around the region. Depending on how those businesses then increase, we will then obviously input how our cargo will then be increased. And that would then also be looked at. And we'll also be looking at our routes and how to best optimize our routes to see which days people will actually be traveling. So being able to tend to speak towards the frequency of our passengers traveling on routes would then obviously impact our ships. And as we're looking to expand up the chain, we're really looking that this opportunity is going to be greatly sought after by many other territories. So depending on how other governments may decide to partner with us, will also then feed into when we'll actually move into phase 2.
Thank you, Anthony. And thank you, Mohammed. We have a question from Renisa Cutting from TV6 News. Could you identify or confirm that this is Trinidad?
Good morning. Good morning. This is
News. You can go ahead and post your question. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello. Good morning. Hello. It's not working. Oh, sorry. Good morning. Renasa Cutting from TV6 News in Trinidad and Tobago. So Dr. Thomas, if you could share with us any information as it pertains specifically to the arrangements with this government, this country, and also if you could state as well how many vessels in total would be involved. And if you have identified those vessels already, if you could share with us which vessels.
Okay. Now we are in preliminary discussions, and if I would define them, I would say exploratory discussions. So now our project from our side, we are a bit more advanced in terms of the stage of development, and we are in exploratory discussions with leaders within the government of Trinidad. And so that's basically where we are. So that's in terms of answering the actual question. Now, in terms of vessels, I'd shared that there are three vessels that we're looking at initially. One is a vessel that will have a capacity of around about 800 passengers with 200 first-class cabins. And that's going to be more of a cruise ferry. And then we have a fast ferry that would have a capacity of about 435. And then we'll have a dedicated cargo vessel. So we'll have a cargo vessel that will do 4 routes initially: Guyana, Suriname, Barbados, and St. Lucia. So those are the vessels that we are actually looking at in answer to your question.
I hope that answers your question, Renisa Cutting. We have time for 2 more questions. We have Sherlyn Ramsabag, I hope I'm pronouncing that name correctly, from the Trinidad Express. And you may go ahead and pose your question. Thank you.
Hello, good morning. I just wanted to get some clarity on the fare. With regards to the fare, the 100 US plus the government taxes, does this account for a one-way trip or a return trip?
Very good question. Very good question. And with that, I will pass on to the president of our travel division. Okay.
Yes, to answer your question, the 100 US, as Dr. Thomas previously mentioned, there are billing taxes and charges that have to be added to those fares. So in answering your question and doing so, then those fares will be actually round fares. However, we will still implement one-way fares too as well. So that persons will have that option of, whether they fly into Barbados or any other country and they decide, okay, let me just take the ferry back home. We will have those optional one-way fare option too as well for our passengers.
Yeah. Yes, and I mean, just so to emphasize that the 100 US is a guide, and it actually fluctuate. It's a guide, and so that's what we're using in terms of guiding us in those projections. But there's also impact in terms of government taxes as well. So when we look at all of that, and we'll then be able to come up with the actual fare. But this gives you a sense of what we're looking at. Yeah.
Thank you, Ambassador Thomas. I hope that answers your question. And we have finally Naomi Paris. She's from the Guyana Chronicle. Go ahead, Ms. Paris, and ask your question.
Good morning. I have 2 questions for you guys. How does the consortium plan on funding this project? And also, have you guys begun discussions with the governments of Guyana, Trinidad, and Barbados to see how you will integrate their ferry service?
Yeah, we have already answered that question, but I would actually share that. In terms of the second part, we are in discussions with them. Because as I shared, the prime ministers of Barbados, Trinidad, and Guyana have for many years cast vision for this project. They've also cast vision for the private sector to contribute towards the solution. So we are the answer from the private sector. But we realize this is a huge undertaking, a huge problem, and a huge solution. So there's room for more than one player. So there are routes that may be very good for governments to take care of. And then there are routes that are much better for the private sector. Okay, so we are speaking to them in that spirit, and they with us. And so we have meetings planned. They are aware of this press conference. They are being briefed at every stage of the way and the progress. And we have been working in a really good way. So just to really highlight, as we seek to tackle this particular problem in the region and seize the opportunity within the region. Okay, and obviously a private sector entity has an approach that is going to take, which is what we have taken towards solving this particular problem. And what was the other part of the question? Huh? Oh, in terms of funding, yeah, we are in advanced discussions with various funding partners, actually for the funding of this, very advanced discussion. And we're absolutely confident that we will very soon be able to announce when the project is due to start. Okay, thank you. No.
You can call them now.
Thank you very much to the Barbados media and those media joining us from around the Caribbean. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us for the launch of the consortium and the company Connect Caribe. As you're aware, I've sent you the press media kit, the link to the website, and there are various subscriptions. If you want to find out more information relative to the farmers, how you can participate as a farmer, how you can participate with regards to travel and other areas, we would also advise that you can go onto the website and there is a section where you can add your email and your names so that you can be aware of the progress and what's happening in real time. We want to thank CBC, the Nation, Starcom Network for being here and other media. I won't be able to mention all of the media on the region, but those media who pose questions, thank you so very much for your question. And we look forward to inviting you again when we host another press conference to give you an update on what is happening with respect to Connect Caribbean and the consortium, and to give you more details on the questions that you answered that we weren't able to fully give because of the progress and where we are. So we want to thank you. And at this time, we bring this conference to a close. And you can reach out to me, Jennifer Highland, J. Highland at upturnfunds.com for any follow-up questions and communications that you have with regards to the project. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day. We now end the conference.